After Amara had successfully reclaimed her womb and beauty, she thought life would return to its normal course. She felt a rush of power, like she had conquered the world and come out victorious. She walked through Bonny City with newfound confidence, feeling beautiful and powerful again. But as the days passed, something felt amiss. The city that once adored her was now indifferent. People seemed to avoid her gaze, and her charm no longer had the same effect. It was as if a cloud had descended over her once glorious life. Amara soon began to notice strange things happening around her. In the dead of night, she would hear whispers in the streets, whispers that spoke her name but always with a tone of disdain. It was as though the city had turned its back on her, and the weight of her past sins had come to haunt her. The people she had once hurt, the wives she had torn apart, the families she had destroyed, seemed to watch her every move. They no longer saw the beautiful woman who had once captivated their husbands. Instead, they saw the broken soul who had tried to destroy their happiness. Amara was filled with dread and confusion. It wasn't just the city's cold reception that troubled her. In her dreams, the figure of Cha, now long dead, would appear. Sometimes Cha would appear as a beautiful woman, other times as a terrifying snake, but always with a look of deep sorrow in her eyes. Amara could feel the weight of her guilt bearing down on her, and she began to realize that her victory had come at an unbearable price. One fateful evening, as Amara sat alone in her lavish home, lost in thought, the doorbell rang. When she opened the door, there was no one there, just a small, intricately carved box on her doorstep. She picked it up cautiously, wondering what it was. When she opened it, her eyes widened in shock. Inside was a single, silver snake pendant, a symbol of the river goddess, Cha's mother. Along with the pendant, there was a note. Asterisk, you have taken what was never meant for you. The river's price must still be paid. Be ready, asterisk. Amara felt her heart race. She had no idea what the note meant, but the warning felt real. The pendant seemed to burn her skin as she held it, as if it were alive, and Amara knew that her actions had triggered something much larger than she could comprehend. She had taken Cha's place, stolen her beauty, and now the goddess herself would demand retribution. That night, Amara could not sleep. Her thoughts raced as she tried to understand the meaning of the note. The powerful wizard had told her that Cha was the daughter of the river goddess, but he hadn't mentioned any consequences for taking her place. Now, Amara realized that the goddess was not one to be trifled with. She had thought that after everything she had done, destroying homes, breaking hearts, and taking from the goddess's own flesh, that she would walk away unscathed. But the universe had a way of balancing the scales, and Amara was about to learn the full weight of her transgressions. Days passed, and Amara became more and more paranoid. She felt eyes on her wherever she went, and she began hearing strange sounds, footsteps behind her, whispers in the wind. She started to see shadows lurking in the corners of her vision, always watching, always waiting. In the midst of this, she received another unexpected visitor. It was Sandra, the young woman who had helped her reclaim her womb and beauty. Amara had almost forgotten about her, but Sandra had not forgotten her promise. Sandra had become a symbol of redemption, and Amara knew she could not ignore her anymore. Sandra entered Amara's house with a quiet calmness that unsettled her. "I know what you're going through," Sandra said, her voice gentle but filled with an unsettling wisdom. "The goddess has not forgiven you, Amara. Your actions have angered her, and now she will take what belongs to her." Amara shook her head, trying to block out Sandra's words. "What do you mean? I've done everything to make it right. I've apologized to the women I hurt. I've changed. She trailed off, her voice faltering. "You've only changed the surface," Sandra replied. "But the river goddess sees deeper. She knows your heart. She knows your true intentions. You thought you could take her beauty and womb and get away with it. But now, the goddess has come for you." Amara felt her knees weaken. She collapsed onto the sofa, overwhelmed by fear. "What do I do? How do I fix this?" Sandra's eyes softened. "There is a way, but it won't be easy. You must face the goddess herself. You must enter the river, confront the source of your curse, and make a sacrifice of your own. Only then will you be freed." Amara swallowed hard. She had never believed in the supernatural, but everything that had been happening, everything that she had seen and felt, was too real to deny. "I can't face her. She's a god." Sandra smiled faintly.
"No."
"She is not a god. She is a force of nature. But even nature has its weaknesses." The next day, Amara, with Sandra by her side, journeyed to the river. The path was long and treacherous, the air thick with tension. As they reached the river's edge, Amara could feel the pull of the water, as if the river itself was calling to her, beckoning her to step into its depths. The water was cold and dark, swirling with an energy that made Amara's skin crawl. She hesitated, but Sandra urged her forward. "You must face her, Amara. You must offer yourself to the river." With trembling hands, Amara stepped into the river, her heart pounding in her chest. The water rose up to her waist, and she felt a strange power begin to pulse around her. Suddenly, the water began to bubble, and a figure emerged, a figure that was neither fully human nor fully serpent. It was the river goddess, her form both majestic and terrifying, her eyes burning with the anger of centuries. She spoke in a voice that seemed to echo through the very earth itself. "You have taken what is mine, Amara. You have defiled the balance. Now you will pay." Amara fell to her knees, her hands raised in surrender. "I am sorry. I didn't know. I thought I could fix my mistakes, but I see now that I was wrong. Please forgive me." The goddess looked down at her, her eyes filled with ancient wisdom. "Your actions cannot be undone, but your heart can be cleansed. To undo the damage you've caused, you must give up your desire for revenge, your need for control. You must let go of your obsession with beauty and power. Only then will you be free." Amara's heart pounded as she realized what she had to do. She had to give up everything that had defined her, the power she had over men, the beauty she had stolen, the revenge that had fueled her every move. With tears in her eyes, Amara stood up and took a deep breath. "I release it. I release my anger, my jealousy, my pride. I give it all up." The river goddess nodded. "Then you are free." Amara felt the weight of years of pain and guilt lift off her shoulders. The river's waters shimmered, and as she stepped out of the river, she was transformed. No longer did she feel the need to break homes or seduce men. She had found peace within herself. She returned to Bonny City, not as the woman she once was, but as someone who had been reborn. She visited the women she had hurt and apologized once again, this time with true sincerity. Slowly, the city began to forgive her. Years later, Amara married a kind and loving man, someone who saw her for who she truly was, not the woman she had tried to be, but the woman she had become. And together, they lived a life full of love, redemption, and peace.